A short video about making a short video. What I'm intending to do here is first of all launching Premiere, clicking the icon with PR on it, and this isn't the entirety of what one might need to know to make a video, but it's a quick intro into it if you want to experiment and play around before we have the session on editing. Launches this window here. Now normally you'd be in the middle of a project and you open a project and the existing projects will be listed here. I'm going to choose new project, and I'm assuming you've logged on to the shared server. What I need to do for a new project is give it a name, so I'll call this project 3, and then locate it somewhere in your shared storage. I'm using a machine at home on a desktop, and I've already created a folder called Wired 2019 sample, so I'm going to put it in that folder there called project. That's fine. Click OK, and then this launches the interface for Premiere Pro. If you end up on a different tab, you should probably start by going to the editing tab here. You can see the window arrangement changes to facilitate whatever is you're doing at a particular moment. So first thing I want to do is to bring some clips in. So if I right click here and choose import, and I've already arranged my clips in the folder I'm using. So on the desktop wired sample I've got a folder called clips, and so I'm going to highlight all of these and click import, and they'll all appear in this bin here, and I can either view them as text or as icons, and I can resize these windows. If I go to the point where they join there, I can then go here like this, drag this one out here, get hold of the thing. There we go, and I get a rough idea of what's going on in those clips. The advantage of using this or switching between them is you get a lot of information about the clip, how long it is, things like the resolution of the clip. And in fact what I tend to do is, it's fairly easy to do this, it's probably easier with more space on the monitor. This is somewhat easier, but I tend to get this, which is a really useful piece of information, the video resolution, and put that as a column there. Just click and drag the column across so I can see the different size material that I'm working with. Okay, also I want to bring in my audio clip. Same principle again, import, and I've sorted my material out here. So I've got a different folder for audio where I'm going to store all my audio, and this is one of the short clips that you're using. Okay, now when I make a video, and to get into the habit of doing this, is the first thing I drop on the timeline is not the clips itself. The timeline is this area here where we can build up the video, but is actually a piece of black so that the video doesn't start straight away. So I can just go here, right click again, new item, various things I can create here, but I'm going to choose black video. It just creates by default 5 seconds of black video. So when I drag anything here into this area over here, it will create a timeline based on the resolution of the particular clip. So given that I want to make an HD video, if I was to take one of the lower res clips like this Worcester Group one here, which is only standard definition, then the whole sequence, i.e. the collection of clips, would be at that resolution, which I don't want. So I'm always going to start, if I do it by using the black video, it's preset to that size, drag it in there, and now as if by magic the timeline appears, and along here you can see the amount of time that takes up. Indicates it's 5 seconds, as I say, by default. 5 seconds is a long time to wait, particularly for a video that may only last not even 2 minutes. So I generally have it to around about the 1 second to 2 second marks, but at least the video starts and you're not suddenly right in the middle of it, so maybe just a bit over that. So what I do is click and drag the end of it, and I can shorten that clip. I can also just click the clip itself and move that around or up and down. This, because it's a video track, although it's black rather than having images on it, will go on tracks that are marked with V, and you can add additional ones if you're stacking up things and doing kind of picture in picture and so on. Similarly, the ones marked A are for the audio. So I put some black in there, about a second and a half. Next thing I'm probably going to do is get my audio and drop that in. Now it's easiest, given that probably I will show you that all of the the video clips I've got at the moment do have audio as well. I'm going to drop this on the second audio track, and you'll see why when I bring in the other material. And I'm going to have it start there. And then I've got here, this is blue, so that means it's highlighted. That's a kind of magnet, so it shows it will snap to things. So it'll either snap to this blue line or it'll snap to the end of a end of a clip. So that will kick off when we run out of that black there, like that. Now, having done that, what I'm actually going to do, for the time being at least, is I can click that, and that locks that track. So that audio is now not going to move. I will probably have to come back to it because to actually get a better sense of what's going on. If on the audio tracks, if I click and drag at the bottom of this bar here, then I can broaden the size of that track, and you can now see it is a waveform, left and right channels, and the higher up the light area is, then the louder that clip is. And as we follow along, you'll see that the volume of the clip increases as that light coloured green area increases. Okay, I've done that. Let's get the clips. Now the rough and ready way to do this, I could just select all of the clips from there to there and just drag them. Now you'll see what happens here. It needs to find both a video and an audio track, and because I've left audio 1 free, it will drop it in there. So I've now got those tracks in there like that. And if I want to make the video track larger, I drag upwards rather than downwards for the video. Okay, so there's the black video. I've got the name of the track here. This is green screen footage. Now, you can see it disappears off into the distance. How far in the distance, i.e. like the full extent of the timeline, you can easily see by pressing the / key. If I do that, you'll see that's our little piece of audio there. That's about a minute. This timeline, as it is at the moment, runs for well over 3 hours, which is clearly not very acceptable. So I can press the / key again to zoom back in. But if I want to dynamically zoom in and out, I can do that. You won't guess this, it's not very intuitive, but this zooms in and out. If I grab the end of this kind of bar here, when it's all the way across, then we're fully zoomed out. Or I can go right in to see frame by frame. So if we put it about there at the moment, we can see the beginning of the track. And then if I want to scrub through the timeline, I can do that like so. Okay, so now we've got video and audio on the timeline, but it's way too long. So let's have a look at how we can access this. So I can use these controls up here to play through the timeline. There's the black, there's a bit of green screen. Now the music starts coming in. Other ways I can go through it, if I want to go frame by frame, I can use the arrow keys. It still scrubs through. These are audio meters here. We never want it to go into the red there, so if something comes up shortly, we will address that. But let's go a bit further into it. I'll zoom out a bit, so that's the end of our green screen footage there. And then we've got a documentary on the Worcester Group. Now already you can see that's a different resolution because it's just a kind of postcard size image in the middle of that. Right, what I'm going to do immediately is start getting a bit brutal with this footage, because I've got to shoehorn all these particular clips. Let's assume I want to use all this material within the space that ends about here, and at the moment that's nowhere near happening. So if I just scrub through this green screen clip, you can see it's a variety of examples of how you might use footage with green screen. Well, yeah, let's go with this one here. So what effectively I've got is some animated graphics with a green screen kind of poster size thing in the front of it. So this is the point where I get roughly there, and then I can use my arrow keys to go back and forth. So I'm going to go to the first frame, that's there. Okay, now I can just simply leave the blue bar there. Might want to zoom in a bit. There we go. And then grab this end of it, like this, and pull it up. It will snap to that bar, so we know now that's stuck on there. And if I right click here, I've got this option to ripple delete. That essentially just pulls everything up the other way. And similarly the other side of that, let's find the last frame of that. There we go, there. And I can just snap this to there, and right click again here, ripple delete. Okay, that's pulling all the rest of the footage up there. So that's a very quick and easy way to do that. Let's do something similar. So what I want to use from this is just Melvin Bragg in his pomp. There we go. So it starts about there. That's all I want from that. And let's scrub through here. So I'm clicking and dragging this. So we want to go up to about there. Okay. Now I need to find the end of this clip. And it's quite a long clip. I can give myself a bit more room by resizing these. Do I really need that much space for that? No, because I can see what's going on. So now my timeline's bigger. There it is there. Or alternatively, as I can show you something else, what I could do, I know where that line is, I can use this razor tool, come up here and that'll snap to that line, click there, now that's split that clip in two, go back to this hand pointer tool here, delete that and then ripple delete, and that will pull all that up. So I'm now at the beginning of the next clip, which is the entirety of Rossini's Cinderella for some reason. So clearly that is not going to be compressed, and it's another one of those damn things here like this. So let's go through and find a suitable point. I think towards the end, exciting denouement of the clip. Yeah, right towards the end here. There's all the bows. I'm clicking and dragging it at speed. It's quite a cheerful, chappy. That's the bit I like. Oh, this bit's alright, isn't it? Yes. Now, I could do the same thing again. I could just raise a blade there, and let's say move forward. I can use the timeline, so it's on 1 minute, 1 hour, 56 minutes, 51 seconds. Let's say I want no more than 20 seconds of this. So 51, about there. For argument's sake, now you'll see I can fine tune this later. Let's put another cut in there. So now go back to the tool here. The bit I want's there, so let's just go delete there and ripple delete that, and this bit here don't want, so delete that and ripple delete that. Let's ripple delete that gap in there as well. So what I should now have is a bit of black, Melvin Bragg, bit of Rossini, there's some instructional video from some other time. Okay. Let's have the woman doing some dancing there, from about there. So either razor blade that, or because I can see what I'm doing, I can just snap that to there. And let's say there she goes. No more than that for the time being. So similarly, grab the end of that, see it turns red. Okay, I can just ripple delete in there and ripple delete here. Still got way too much video. What else we got here? Oh, I was going to use a bit of this. Yeah. Okay. So this is actually a shooting exercise from a year or a couple of years back. So maybe we'll start there. Same principle. There, and how much of this do I want? Not an awful lot. Yeah, to about there. So pull this there like that. So I've got this clip. Ripple delete this. Now if I press the backspace key now, you can see it's more manageable length. And then, oh, for some wicked irony, here's a, so I thought we'd have a bit of applause at the end of the piece. So this is almost at the beginning of this clip, isn't it? So, well, let's use it from the beginning of the clip, but I want no more. I don't need to do this. I can do it by eye really before people get up. So at most, it's going to, applause goes on for that amount. Slap that in there like that. So that's actually going to come after the track, so I need that there. So if anything, see now I've probably not got enough footage, but just as I pulled footage in, I can pull footage back out again. In fact, let's zoom in, see, and scrub along. That's all good. Melvin goes to that. And we got, this is rather long, isn't it? And then we cut. So this isn't the most enticing or coherent video. This is about the craft rather than the art of making it a video. So we've got the clips there. They've just tidied that up. That goes to there like that. So we got the clips roughly the kind of length that we want. But let's now go through in turn and work with this so it kind of makes sense. First thing we might want to do is, do we want to start with the green screen? Probably not. So the easy way I find of moving stuff around is that if I just move stuff up out of the way, shove something back there. Now we know that'll fit in that gap, so we can just then drop that in there like that. Okay, so we're going to start with Melvin Bragg. We might stick a title in there as well. Okay, and the next thing we'll address, let's pull this down at the moment. We want to make a music video. I thought what we'd probably do is have a bit of the dialogue of people talking and have the sound at the end, but we don't want the dialogue of Melvin Bragg talking. It's just enough to gaze upon his face. So what we're going to do, the audio and video, when you record them in the camera, come kind of linked together. If they weren't, it's a nightmare in terms of syncing stuff. But if I right click on the clip, if I go up here to unlink, okay, I can now highlight the audio individually, press the backspace key, it's gone. I'm going to do the same with this clip. In fact, I should be able to do two clips. So I've highlighted those two clips together, go up here, unlink, and now highlight. If I hold down the shift key, and I can choose multiple things, press delete. Now I've just got these as video footage. There's Melvin, bit of green screen, Cinderella, tutorial, and the student thing going on there. Applause again. Right, next. So we've got black at the beginning. First thing might want to consider doing, there's various ways of going from one shot to another. You can effectively do cuts where there's nothing between it, it just snaps from one to the other. You can do mixes where typically a dissolve or a crossfade, or you can do wipes where one thing replaces another by some kind of movement, and there's variations on that. Any number of effects, some of them less good than others. Now you access these, you'll see here I've got various tabs along here. Projects is where all my files are. If I click along to this one called effects, and there's little drop down twirly things here. Video transitions is what I want to add, and dissolve is the most commonly used one. In fact, I think it's Control D. If you put it on the join between two clips, and you think you press Control, could be Command. Try Command D. Then if it's in the gap there, if I zoom in, you'll see what's happened is it's placed this kind of smaller box between the two clips at the join, and this is a crossfade. So what you'll see is that the next clip starts fading in from this point, and the other one starts fading out. So we're doing a fade from black because we've got black video there. Now the immediate gotcha there is because I cut to right at the start of Melvin, because it's taking some footage prior to him being there. We're actually seeing the last scene, and that looks really kind of odd. So the way around that is several ways around that. We've also got the last clip of Melvin there, so we're going to run into this problem time and time again. So let's shorten the overall duration of the clip. So I'll take a bit off that end, take a bit off that end. Now I can either have more of the other footage going on there, or what I could do, because we're not hearing his words, so it's not going to look that odd. What's really powerful here is that I can got this clip, it's not long enough now, but I want the entirety, I want the full Melvin Bragg goodness in this. What I could do, if I click and hold this, you see there's yet more options here. I love this thing, it's rate stretch tool. So click and hold that. Now if I get the old end of this, it's going to make this longer, but it's the same piece of clip, it's just slowing it down. So now Not noticeably. I think it says, yeah, it's now at 83%. But I think, you know, that will just add to the kind of mystique and appeal of the main man himself. So let's go back. In the course of doing that, because I moved it around, I've lost my transition. So we remembered it was Command D. So I'll put this there, just over that, Command D. Control D. Got to put it down there. And that's on. Yes, now that's right, Command D. Good. Okay, so we've only got a little bit of black, so if anything we might have had 2 seconds of black, because we're already eating into it there. But as you can see, from the very get-go, Melvin is there talking away. And we'll do the same at the other point. I might leave that as cut because it goes to a green screen. Now, the other thing we could consider doing is that this music we've locked, so I can't do anything with it at the moment. It's just locked entirely. If anything, the audio should start before the video. So I've unlocked this now. What I'm going to do is move that to there, which is close to the beginning of it. There's nothing else going on, and I'm going to move it back so it probably starts coming up as that dissolve goes. So let's have a move it back slightly more, but then put an audio bit more back there. The equivalent of the crossfade is the audio transitions, and crossfade is your only thing there. You can go into Audition and have more fine control over that, but if I drop that there, now you see it's not coming up from anything, so it starts at the beginning of the clip, and it's roughly in line with that, so that's probably a bit better. Yeah, makes it less disruptive when the picture emerges, because the music, I think it starts slightly before that. If I wanted to make it precisely, I could just move the bar there so it snap to it and have it maybe start about there like that. Okay, so got the music coming in, they've got the picture fading up. There's a problem with that picture, and that problem obviously is it's not big enough to fill the frame. We might want that effect, but the likelihood is we don't. So let's highlight this clip here, and just as there are tabs along the bottom here, there are tabs here called there's one called Effect Controls, and this gives you information about the clip. So its position, its scale, rotation, various other things I'm not going to cover in this video. But the big thing we want to change is the scale. So I can click and drag this, and make sure mouse is working. Yeah, here we go. Now I'm going to have to go some, because this is shot in a different ratio, so I'm going to have to fill the frame. We're going to get an excess of Melvin, as if such a thing is possible. So now I've scaled that up. The other thing I might want to do, this is the vertical, the other one's horizontal. I might want to move him down a touch. That's too much, you can see the edge of the frame there. So let's have him so he's kind of mouse there like that. So now I've fixed that, we go maximum Melvin there like that. Now we go to this green screen element. Now it doesn't really do much on its own. So what I'm going to do, just to show you how this works, and this is an indication of using multiple video tracks, we are going to take another excerpt from this Rossini thing, because there's certainly enough of it. So if I go back here, if I can't see any of the tabs, I can click this little arrow, so it's the project one I want. So let's call up the Rossini one, and the editing window, although this is on effects controls at the moment, if I double click the Rossini, it defaults to its usual position, which is the source monitor. This is where I can preview material. Now I kind of think what we might have here, let's have some strings playing in there for no good reason. So beginning of that shot's there. So what I can do to precisely add this in is to do what's called a 3-point edit. So what I'm going to do on the source clip here is put an in point, and I do that by navigating this to the frame that I want to start with and press I for in. That's a 3-point edit, because once I've done that, it's just going to take material forward from that for the duration I specify on the timeline. So I'm going to find the first frame of the green screen there, and up here I can either use an I, but I can also use these icons, this kind of open bracket here, mark in, I stands for, there. And I want another one at the end of the green screen clip, which is there. So O for out, that'll add another one there. Right, so I know I want the clip that's going to start from there. It's going to take enough footage to fill that gap there like that. Now I should, as a precaution, turn on this. See, at the moment this shaded area here indicates where the track is going to go. So I don't want any audio to come across, so I can unselect that and unselect that. Don't want anything to happen there either. I just want video to go across, and I want it to go in that space there like that, but I actually want it on the track above, otherwise I'm just going to overwrite the green screen footage. So what I'm going to do is highlight video 2. I could make this bigger as well so we can see where it's going to go. So you can see the only area that's shaded now is that area there like that. In fact, I've done this arse about face, because what I need to do is put this one on the top, so just bear with me. I can just click and drag, move that upwards, because obviously the footage needs to be underneath. So apologies for that. So not video 2 but video 1. So this is grayed out. Same principle applies, it's that duration. So there's the clip there. I want to drop it in there. And what I do is choose overwrite, because it's going to overwrite that grayed out area. So if I hover over here, the clip overwrite is there like that. And now you see I've got the green screen footage. We see that over the top. And then we got the people playing the instruments underneath. Now, all very well, but all we can see is the green screen. That's because we could be using green, we could be using any number of colours. So what we need to do is go back to our effects tab here, and we need to find the keyer. I've got a search function up here, so I just type in key. Ultra key is generally the best one. There's various ways of doing this, but this is a fairly good one. What I do is take this is an effect rather than a transition, and drop it on this piece of footage here like this. Okay, now you recall we went up here to change the size. Now, because I've added an effect to it, there's also controls for this ultra key, the most important of which is this dropper tool. I click that, and what I'm going to do is sample sample this green. So click there. Now you'll see what's happened. That green area has effectively become transparent, and we see the footage. But you'll say, yes, but that footage, we didn't scale it up, so it's only a little piece of footage there like that. Simple enough. We click down here. Now you can see these controls have changed, and we want to do the same thing again, so we get that to fill the box. So first thing we probably want to do is to move it this way a touch, because the box is off center, and then scale it up. And let's see how we go. Now it won't burst that box simply because we're only seeing the green bits. So there we go. We've now got that footage in there like that. Okay. So a bit of Melvin. We cut to people playing the violin for no good reason, and then we're on to Rossini. Rossini straight thing again. We need to do a scale job here. Now it's in the right ratio, so we won't need to scale it up quite so much. Obviously you want to avoid kind of having low res footage, because you are going to lose some kind of resolution, but nevertheless for the purposes of this exercise that's done that. This looks like it's a screen capture, but I don't like those black bars. Am I going to do anything about it? See, what I could do is scale it up. Will it look good, or will I just live with the black bars? Okay, I'm going to live with it, so 100% there, because I've got the entirety of the screen going on. So it's not as interesting as you might think. It's probably only interesting from, let's say, from that point there. So I'm actually going to cut that, pull that back to there, and have more of this clip. I think I've got more of this clip.
That's got a star in the middle of it. What, jumping over this? No,
Right, so we might actually keep that audio commentary, because it's not too bad, is it? But that gives us a bit of flexibility, because we've run over here. So for argument's sake, I'm going to have this as the final clip there like that, and then that means the applause comes in there like that. So this runs from here to here to here to here. Okay. So I've got all my clips the right kind of size, one after the other. I could just go through, well, let's do that. We're not going to have a transition there or there because it's kind of green screen, but you could do if you wanted to. But let's say we're going to put them in other places. So I'll just move it to gap between that one. And Command D to move it down here. Command D there. Command D. Move it down. Command D there like that, and you can see that's added crossfade between this one and that one. There we go. And because there's audio going on there, we might do a fade up on that audio. So now we go to audio, transitions, crossfade, and drop that on there like that. So we've got a crossfade going on there like that. Whether we want the, should we get rid of the picture there? Yeah, probably. Alright, so if I unlink this, I can do the opposite thing, get that picture, this time like that. If at any time I make a mistake, Command Z undoes that. So if I deleted both of them by mistake, I could have undone that as an issue. Right, so now the issue we'll have here, I imagine, is that if you look at the audio meters,
That's got a star in the middle of an end. What, jumping over this?
No, limbo.
Limbo. Right.
You have like different perspectives. So one of them
well,
sounds
it's not too bad, but if I want to bring down, in a like very crude way, if I want to bring down the level of the audio, you see as I've expanded this track here like this, what I can actually do, there's my thing, make it even bigger. Now when I hover over this, I can click and drag that line, and you'll see it shows you I'm going down by a number of decibels, decibels being the measure of the loudness. So now that will be overall quieter.
That's got a star in the middle of an end.
So I could use that as a crude means to get the balance between the music and the dialogue over the top. There are more refined ways that I can show you at a later point. And then, yes, for reasons not entirely known, so we need to fade that out, don't we, if nothing else. Some semblance of so that will fade out. In fact, do it a bit before that because it sounds a bit. Right, move that there like that. Okay. Yeah, it's not great, but one more thing we might want to do. Let's just have a title for this piece. So the one Crown and Glory is, let's put a title over Melvin himself. Now you can do this easiest by going over to the graphics tab. Let's zoom in so you can see it fully and go graphics. You see the display changes now. There are lots of preset graphics, you'll see more of them on the desktop monitors, but what we want to do is just basically have a text title. So if I click the text tool here like this, heaven knows where all my tools have gone. Okay, start typing. There they go. Right, let's see. Mel. Excellent. Right, the perennial problem with titles is if you put it in white, then it's not going to show up on lighter backgrounds. Put it in black, it's not going to show up on darker ones. And the easiest way around that, unless you're going to use a kind of coloured bar underneath, which I'm not going to cover here, is if you turn on the shadow there like that. So what I've done, I'm going to also make the font size larger, so I can change the font to any old nonsense. So yeah, Oak Melvin, and let's just click this. That's not a great font, is it? I mean, it's not that important, but somehow I just feel it doesn't do the rigour of the man justice. Right, there. I can change the colour here should I wish, but I think we'll settle for that. Now you can see that stands out somewhat more. I can tweak the size of the shadow with these various controls here. I can have various other choices, and when I've got lots of text I can align them and do other sort of things that there like that. Let's use this and move this so it's not over his face, but in fact is at a dignified distance below it, there, like that. So now I've got a title, and you can see that's dropped on the track above, and because it's got a otherwise transparent background, we just see the title and nothing else. So that's okay in itself. It could, if we were just to play it back, let's go back to editing. Now we've done the title. Oh, Melvin. But just to illustrate some other property that you might want to consider in this, let's have this running the full gamut. So let's stretch it out from there to there so it runs. In fact, it's not at the beginning at the moment, is it? So let's have it there, right at the beginning. But to make it slightly more interesting, we can go up to our effects controls here, and at this point what I'm going to do is show you what's called keyframing. And this is really useful when you want to animate properties. You can do it with any number of properties, and we'll cover this more detail later. But what I'm going to do is just animate it just sliding across the screen. So I do that. It's probably easiest to do it by going to the first clip, which is actually there, so it comes in slightly later. That doesn't matter because it's going to be off screen anyway. I want to do is click this stopwatch. Alright, so that now, as you can see, there's a little diamond appeared there. So that means it's set the position of there at that point there. But I don't want it there to start with. What I want is it to be entirely off screen. So I'm going to just reduce this value. So it's going to start there. And I'm going to go all the way to the other end. You can imagine what's going to happen. And I'm going to get to there, the end of the clip. And use this to add another keyframe and change that value so it's right over the other side. Now I've actually gone past. Yeah. Not far enough. So let's go to there. Put one in here actually. I can't see that clip, it's gone off the edge. Right, that's the last Melvin clip there, so let's put a keyframe there instead. No, it's still too far back. There. Keyframe. Now move this. To there. And all things being equal, there he is. Excellent. Right, so I think we're just about done there now. I could tweak it further, obviously I probably need to, but what I'm going to do now is just export it because the battery is getting perilously low. So what I do is put in and out points at the beginning and end of the timeline. So move it to the beginning there, include my black eye for in, move it just past the end, so it's gone silent and I don't want it to suddenly stop, so I'll put it back there. Oh, that's the entirety of my clip. Make sure all the tracks I want to use are just selected. Don't need to worry about that side, but I've got them all selected. I go up here, go File, Export, Media. Now the simplest way to do this, first thing you probably want to do is to give it a name and a location. So I click on the existing name, I'm going to put it into the same folder, Desktop Wired Sample. I've got a folder called Output, and I'm going to call this V2. Yeah. So I've saved it a name. Now I can choose any number of presets. It's set for MP3, which is an audio one, which is ain't no good at all. So in fact, for reasons I'm not entirely sure, is it because I've selected, might have selected the audio and timeline. I want to select this and export it. That's all highlighted, so it should all be good. File, Export Media, and change the format. MPEG 4. That's right, because it was set on MP3, so it couldn't export video because MP3. In fact, the one I tend to use is H264 because that has better compression. So format H264, and then you got within that you got sub choices. So this is the default format for YouTube, Vimeo at different resolutions. So for argument's sake, let's say we're going to do it YouTube at 1080p because that's the resolution we used. Down here it will tell me the size of it. It's going to be 138 megabytes. I've already given it a name. It's going to be Black Video MP4. That's all good. And video and audio, and that's the duration of it there, 1 minute 11 seconds. So I'll just click export now. Now obviously with more complicated clips it's going to take longer. It renders the file, i.e. works out the effects in memory, but when it records it to disk, obviously needs to do it permanently. So that will do that. Save the project. Does auto save, but if you control Command S on a Mac on a regular basis, now if I go to my desktop, should find that there's a video there. Desktop, project, and no, I put it in output, didn't I? Yep, output, Black Video. Let's check it. See, it starts. There he is. You can see the resolution problem, etc, etc. I can scrub through this, should check it's all there. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. And then the applause, a bit of black applause at the end. Okay, good. Right, I can stop now because I still need to upload this to YouTube before the battery runs out. So that's it.